Due to the Met Gala stuff, we're seeing that a lot of stars are being, boycotted or people are trying to cancel them and whatnot because of their participation in that event. If you need a quick recap, the Met Gala was an event that a lot of stars were invited to, some influencers. It was $75,000 to get a ticket in, and it was $300,000 to get a table. So $375,000 per person is what the cost was. Now, I'm not making an excuse for anybody. I will let you know right up front. You can go look this up, but some of those stars didn't pay for their stuff. They were sponsored. Doesn't make it any better, but just know they weren't using their own money for that. That kind of makes it worse to a degree. But still is the cost of that, right? And that's when these stars were doing ridiculous things like, the Marie Antoinette cosplay, if you will. But I wanted to remind everybody and take a moment here to promote another person on TikTok so you can go look at their content so you can see what I'm talking about. But this is a reminder that 99% of everybody in Hollywood has done something not good. They have done something wrong. They have done something bad. They have lied, cheated, or whatever to get their way up where they're at. They have stepped on someone else. They have spit on someone else. They have done bad things. Okay? Everybody. I think the worst one I've heard to date was Chris Rock. And that's because it was, kind of buried with the incident that happened, with Will Smith. But all of these stars have done something. It is a different world in Hollywood, okay? And Domo is the TikTok I'm talking about, did a series called Once Upon a Time in Hollyweird. And I'm going to put an in my description. You guys should go look at his profile and go look up that stuff. These are sourceable stories with evidence that's viewable, where a lot of stuff got swept under the rug, maybe was taken care of because they were famous stars. Look, Hollywood is one of those places, male or female, if you know the right people, you get away with stuff. That's how it works. So it's great that we're doing this now because we're outraged about, what's happening with Palestine. But realistically, we need to be looking closer at these stars. And we need to really be looking at why we're supporting them and maybe holding them to a higher standard than we are. And I don't say this as someone who just doesn't like Hollywood. There are plenty of people that I look up to as heroes that have done horrible things that aren't paying for it. Only now are we seeing people like Dwayne Johnson really losing followers because he's being exposed for how horrible he can be. And he's not even, as bad as some of these people are. But I urge you to go watch the Hollywood series. It will open your eyes to a lot of things going on. You don't have to believe it. You can source the stuff, though. There's court documents out there. There's recorded voice clips of these people saying things. Generally, a lot of what Domo does, a lot of stuff's being picked up. And he's also featuring or spotlighting other people who have uncovered this stuff. And it's just bringing more attention to it. And we need more attention like that. I repost those as I can. I don't make content like that because that's not the focus of what I do. I more talk to you like this and try to make you aware of these things. But please look into what these stars do and understand it's a different world. They're weird. Look at people like Gwyneth Paltrow and how odd they are. Look at, the Smith family, how strange those people are. They're only able to be that weird because they have money. If they didn't have that money and they didn't have the status, they would not be allowed to be that weird. And granted, there are people down here that are like that, but it is not as common as that. Yes, there are people that are screwed up down here, but we've got too much else going on. And we've got too much else to deal with to be that level of weird. And Hollywood enables people to be strange. You get away with a lot. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, you're held to accountable. You're not. Just because you're in the spotlight doesn't mean people see everything. You see what they project out. Now, as far as these stars having to be concerned and stuff, they really didn't have to be. They could have donated a small portion and acted like they cared. They're actors, after all. All they had to do was act like they cared. But that's the thing. They're so far removed from our reality, they don't have to care. They're insulated. Even if the world were to come tumbling down, it wouldn't matter to them. They're insulated. You and I have to deal with it. They don't. And that's something you have to remember. And I want to preface this that I enjoy the works that they do. I enjoy a lot of the works that actors do. But I also remember that film is not solely them. And sometimes when we boycott those films, we're hurting the cast who worked on that. These stars, have forgot how we supported them in the SAG-AFTRA stuff that was going on. We supported a lot of them. We went to bat for them. We boycotted things for them, and that's not being returned. But also keep in mind that we were doing that to support the crew, the people that we don't see in front of the camera that are making a lot of these things happen. It is a very difficult thing to deal with. But maybe Hollywood as a whole needs to go. Maybe all of the actors need to be cleared out and we need fresh blood in there. Same with all of the directors and everything else. Maybe we need everything to be renewed to clean this up. But I don't think it will be. As I've said before, I think that Hollywood is just corrupt as is, and that's all there is. So what are your thoughts on this, guys? Who's a star that you once looked up to or liked that you don't anymore because of something they've done? Feel free to share your story in the comments or any other comments you have, and let me know what you think.